Hey everybody, we just wanted to make another little update video here now that we're several more days into our trip here in Korea. This is our room. It's actually bigger than our room at home,
Yeah.
um, but it's nice and quiet in here and a little more noisy outside, so we figured we'd go ahead and do it in here. But it is Sunday. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We had church this morning at 11,
Mhm.
which is pretty standard fare. And it seems like every week after service, there is lunch down in the fellowship hall area in the basement. Um, and just wanted to kind of tell you what we've been up to for the last week, which is less than you might expect,
Right. Still
but
waiting on
still a lot
the
going on.
yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, we're still waiting on the paperwork to clear for prison ministry. So a lot of it has been meeting some of the other elders or pastor friends that are kind of in the same network or also help support the prison ministry. Um, Meeting with the church members, doing some of that. Monday was you met with um, the Taekwondo missionary group, did some Taekwondo stuff with them.
Yep.
Thursday, taught some English. There's, I guess, like an orphanage, maybe not in an
I think
official
it is. I
capacity.
think it's an orphanage. It
Yeah.
hasn't been super clearly communicated to me, but yeah. So Thursday I went and taught English for like an hour and a half, which was really just more conversational shenanigans to some kids that it was later explained to me were juvenile offenders without parents. And so I don't know if this is a permanent arrangement for them, um, or exactly how that works out, um, but spent a little bit of time just getting to know them, talking to them about what they want to do with their lives. They're all still students, and then there was a young man there, and I believe he and his wife kind of run the home, and then an older middle-aged lady who is not a juvenile offender, I don't think,
Yeah.
um, who's somehow connected to all of that. I didn't get totally clear on what the relationships were, but yeah. So that was Thursday.
A lot of it's been catching up on sleep too
There's been
and
a
getting
lot of
back into
catching
the
up on
rhythm.
sleep. So one of the things I've actually been pretty happy about, and we've talked about this some, is that we didn't come with an organization. Some of you who have supported this trip supported me going almost to China and then never made it there. So I ended up in New York for 3 weeks with an organization. And even without a direct plan because of all the things that COVID had messed up, it was still just always one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing with hardly a minute to, catch a breath of fresh air.
Right.
This has not been that, and I'm very thankful for it. There's been plenty of time to get rest, to kind of process and catch up on the things that have happened, to talk things over between the two of us and sort of
Right.
figure out next steps. There's been a little bit of frustration. The plan has not always been super clearly communicated, which has caused a little bit of trouble for someone else we know as far as nap schedules and things like that are concerned, which eventually blows back on us.
Sure.
But they've been better about that, especially over the last several days.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
everyone here's been treating us very, very well, very graciously, even when expectations are not the same as what we would have expected. Um, we've been able to work through that pretty easily. And yeah, I think because we're not doing some sort of grand experience, like, oh, there's miles and miles of programming to do, like, we're just here doing the job.
you know,
It is more of a sustainable pace and
right.
probably a more realistic look at what long term missions would be.
Yeah.
Of course, we're still not doing the prison ministry side of it yet,
We
so I'm
are
excited to get into that.
we are on track to enter the prison on Tuesday,
Right.
from what I understand. They had to process our information because we're foreigners going into a government facility and all of this stuff. But this afternoon, when Hee-kyung and Hae-young were telling us about the plans for next week, um, they mentioned that. So Monday, tomorrow, I will go back to Taekwondo and actually teach the class in English if I got that right. All kinds of fun. Hey, buddy. Tuesday, we're expected to make it into the prisons. Thursday, I'll go back to teach some more English. And then Saturday, we will go to a gathering of Christian church pastors in the area. And that's kind of the week ahead at a glance. Wesley does occasionally wake up still in the night, so if you want to pray for that and continue praying for that, that would be tremendous. For our Central Time Zone people, we are 14 hours ahead of you. For Eastern Time, 13 hours. So whenever you're awake, we're probably asleep. So do be praying for us when you think of us, particularly that sleep would continue to come well to the little guy. Yeah. We are managing to catch up in some of our downtime, which has been really, really wonderful. Other than that, yeah, just continue to pray for the next steps in ministry-related shenanigans between the prison and English teaching and martial arts stuff.
Well, you're
there's a lot to consider, and today they asked me if I would preach / give my testimony on Sunday, April 7th. So here in a couple minutes, I'm going to start that process, and those of you who have heard me preach know that I don't usually go word for word, line by line, down a script, which I will need to do this time around. And I know a little Korean, but not that much. So yeah, that's kind of things as they are.
It's been really good to have kind of the slow week to get to know everybody, kind of honestly explore a little bit. We're still not as mobile as I had anticipated, but we did get to go on Tuesday to, oh my goodness, I'm blanking.
We went to Jeonju on Tuesday, and part of Jeonju is a historical site kind of a thing. They call it the traditional village, but it is not quite as traditional as maybe some of you who have been to like American Jamestown or Williamsburg or just to an Amish place. Everything is modernized, but the architecture. You can tell that this used to be old stuff, but there's a lot of new stuff housed in the old buildings. So it was fun. Some of you saw the pictures that we took there. They dressed us up. They sent us out. They said, go away for an hour. We'll watch Wesley and then come back.
Yes.
So we got to have a nice little getaway date there for a little bit. Had some 5-flavor tea, which was a ton of fun for me.
Mm-hmm. A lot. There have been some things that with, the kind of culture shock have been, oh, this is wonderful. And we really like this. And then there are other things like
new experience of the week. Yeah. Yesterday, one of the church members works at a restaurant, and so all of the elders, there's 3 of them, including the pastor, the elders and their wives came over to the church and then took us to lunch at this restaurant. And it was seafood, which was fine. There were oysters in the pot and some other things that, not our favorite because we live in a landlocked state and we're a little suspicious of all things seafood. But the cherry on top was actually the octopus on top. They brought out live octopi, 4 of them, and put them in the boiling soup pot. They were still moving for a little bit. And then once they stopped moving and turned red, they got scissored up and we had some octopi. That was not the first octopus we have, but it was the first one that we, saw live before it became lunch.
Yes.
It's not that bad. It's just like eating rubber.
All right.
But there are some definite things worth
new experiences.
Yeah, thinking through as we consider adjusting to the new experience. So anyway, this video is probably already longer than it should be, so we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. And yeah, we'll go to dinner at 5 p.m. and then I'll be up at 5 a.m. for daily morning prayer. But I am remembering and praying for you guys during that process, and he should be sleeping during that process, and so should she. But anyhow, continue to pray for us, and we look forward to keeping you posted. We are keeping much more detailed written records that we will look forward to presenting parts of when we get back.
Do you have anything to say?
Wesley says hi.
That's all,
All right.
folks.
That's all, folks. God bless. See you later.
Bye.